Welcome back to another video update for our Lightning Network Art application. We haven't posted an update in a while, mainly because we've been busy building, but we figured it would be good to show where we've been, what we've been working on a month on. So first you might notice that the voice is different from the previous videos. I'm actually the other part of the team working on this. My main area of work on the application is the client side of things. I've been building out the web app, the flow, and well, most of the parts that we're going to walk through in today's video. So to build out the application for the client side, I'm using vanilla JavaScript, and the only framework that I'm using really is Materialize CSS to put the DOM elements on screen and give me the ability to resize things dynamically so we can just support different resolutions. We're also using Font Awesome for some of the iconography on here. So first we have the main view of the app. Anyone coming to the site directly will see the art index, which is shown as these three images here. And over time, these will fill up to contain more and more images, allowing you to scroll down and pick the art you are interested in. So the individual pieces of art, you can see the current state of the image, which is how many pixels have been purchased and what kind of shape they're forming. Each index piece there also shows the name, and it also shows how many have been sold and the amount of satoshis that the art has so far raised. So on this image here, we can see quite a number of pixels have already been sold, and this one over here sold 0 of the 9 pixels. Is a very tiny piece of art. So once a user has picked a piece of art that they're interested in, they can go and visit that. Before we visit the individual art, I'm going to take a side step here and show you just the process that the artist used to upload their images onto the site. So here we have an icon, which is the upload. Clicking on that brings up the upload panel. So here the artist can fill out the name of the art, the title, a description, and we actually generate the URL. As you can see there, we've got the old, well, not the old domain, but the kind of working title, but we can replace that one with the final SparkShot domain name. So if we were to fill this out, and let's just use the example here, we can see that the URL is generated there. We try and predict something that's kind of suitable for the name. The description is the description of the art piece, which you can use to kind of make it more sellable. Wonderful. So once that's filled out, we can go to the next panel here. In the Extras tab, we have some discoverability features that we want to add to the thing. So obviously we're sharing art that is essentially a blank canvas to the users. They don't know what type of art it is, and this gives the abilities to the artist to add hints to the type of art that they're trying to show. So you can see from the examples here, we could say this is a cartoon piece, as Mona Lisa is, and we can say it's funny because everyone finds her hilarious. The artist can also add an email address. Now this is completely optional, and it's just something that we use to let them know once the art has gone live. I'll talk a bit more about why that is shortly. So with that information filled out, we move to the files. So obviously we need the art to reveal it. So let's pick an example piece here. We've got this image. So that's the art that will get uploaded to our server, and then once it's broadcast, it will be seen as a blank image that is revealed by the purchase of the pixels. The price file, that basically matches the resolution of the art, but uses a gray shade. So we have this example image here. So what we do there is we infer from the shades of gray the price of the individual pixels that the artist wants to charge. So if you look at a straight piece of artwork where every pixel is priced the same, that would be a just complete gray image, actually probably white. And then changing the gradient, I think it's maybe 256 colors, shades, that allows the artist to increase the price of the pixel. So they might be incentivized to do that if they want to. It's an optional thing. If they don't supply that, we will just set up a blanket pixel purchase cost across to each pixel. So one thing just to take note there, if you can see on this image here, in the different shades of the pixel, I've kind of drawn a smiley face. It's one of those things that gives an artist a secondary statement to make. If they were to put certain pixels at certain prices and people discover those pixels, they might reveal a clue or some hidden message in the artwork, which is only really noticed throughout the process of investigating the piece of art. So with all information filled in, we now have the ability to add a message. So what we've generated here is a message containing all the data that's been supplied. This has actually got like a SHA-256 of the artwork. Also the same for the price file. And what we request here is that the artist then sign this message with their Bitcoin address. So they can use this to copy and paste into whatever it is that they use, Electrum perhaps. And then once they've signed that message, they can come here and pop in their Bitcoin address that they signed it with. So I'll just type in anything for now because I've got no error checking on that. And then they drop their signature in. There you go. I've got a pre-saved one in there. So this is a thing that lets us know that this is the artist. This is not the artist's name. This is not the artist's email address. We don't care about that part. We care only about the Bitcoin address that they've sent the art to us. That enables them to prove that they are the artist. So in the future, they can sign another message with that same Bitcoin address to again prove that they are who they say they are. And that is not revealing their identity anyway, just the fact that they have ownership over that address. So with all the fields filled out, they can then submit the art to us, and that sends it to our servers. What we actually do at that point is we are curating the art for now. As we launch this application, we want to make sure that the art quality is good and it doesn't, cross any not safe for work kind of territories that we don't want to be dealing with. As this is a centralized application. We are hosting this thing, and we want a certain quality to the art that we're hosting. So, as I mentioned earlier, the artist could supply an email address, and we can use that email address to send to the artist that the art has gone live, as it might take us a few hours, depending on the kind of inflow we get of art from people. It's a completely optional thing. If the artist doesn't supply us with an email address, that's fine. It just means that they're going to have to periodically come back using the URL that they've created in their information tab, and to see if the art has finally gone live. We'll probably figure out another solution for that in the future. So, to go back to it, once the art has been uploaded, it will appear on this screen here, and then we can step into one of these arts as a user and see what the experience is like there. So clicking on the art brings it up to a full screen. What we've got here is the similar to the pink that we had in the background, we've actually got a checkerboard here that shows us any pixels that have not yet been purchased. The art fills the screen as best it can, but we've also given the user the ability to navigate around and kind of see the art exactly as they want to see it, especially on big pieces of artwork where they want to zoom in and check out the kind of smaller areas, because we are dealing with the pixel by pixel concept here. So you can see different types of pixels. We've got the checkerboard ones, as I say, they're unpurchased, and then the ones that are colored in. There is some color on this, yeah, we've got some greens down here. Those are purchased pixels. So if we hover over the pixels, right now we're not getting any information back from the purchased pixel. This is one of the features that we're still yet to add, but we'll be able to reveal the message that was written with that purchase. And also, pixels can be purchased in groupings, so we will be able to reveal the group that the pixel was purchased in. Now, if we hover over a pixel that hasn't been purchased, and you see in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, we see the price. So as I mentioned earlier, the price image that was uploaded with the artwork sets the price here. So as I navigate around, you can see the price change per pixel, which is a completely optional thing, but it does mean that we've got some gradient in here and potentially some discoverability as you move through. The UI for us is still something that I'm working on and I want to improve. Right now I'm not really happy with how it sits in the bottom corner, but it's something we'll figure out. So the next step, obviously viewing the artwork is all good and fine, but we want to start selecting pixels. So left clicking, you can see this lovely garish green that we're using right now. Essentially, this is me selecting these pixels, like I'm adding them to a shopping cart. I can select and deselect pixels, and basically I'm building up my cart here. So as you notice, as I'm clicking on these pixels, or essentially after I clicked on the first pixel, in the bottom right we got this these new elements appear. The trash can there should be kind of obvious. That is going to remove them all. But as we click back into the pixels, we start to see these elements change. Right now I'm just tracking the number of pixels selected, which isn't all that interesting. What I'll probably do there is maybe switch that for the price, so we can see how much money that we're intending to spend on this purchase, which is probably more towards what a user cares about. The other thing that has appeared here is the message box. As I mentioned earlier, once a purchase has been made, a user, or prior to a purchase being made, a user can place a message into the message box, which gets embedded into the invoice of the transaction. Now we store this information, and that can then be used by the user of this case to essentially prove that they purchased these pixels in the future, which is a bit like the artist being able to reveal that they were the artist behind the art by showing that they've got the signed Bitcoin address that they used to upload the art with. So we hope that this element is significant to the user in the way that they can prove it much better than just showing the combination of pixel on the screen. So for this, let's go ahead and purchase these pixels. There we go. So once we've tapped the message in, once we've selected our pixels, we've got this button down here, and clicking on this reveals an invoice. What we actually did there was clicking on that button sent a message to the server with the intent of buying these pixels and the message. And the server replied back with a Lightning Network invoice, and like any other Lightning Network invoice, we can make the purchase. So as you can see the QR code, we've also got the payment request here, which is following the setup for the Bolt 11 payment. There's also a button here which hooks into the link concept, the Lightning Link concept. So if you've got an application or some facility that's able to recognize that, this could open up your payment system, and you can make payment through there. I know there's some applications being worked on right now that support that feature. But essentially, yeah, we've got the QR code so we can make the payment. So if I make that payment now, okay, so I've made the payment, and there you go. So we've now got these pixels all colored in, nice and gray. But we've also got this message that's appeared on the left-hand side of the screen. So let me change up how we've got the application set here. What we've got here is 4 web browser windows, which simulates having 4 users connected to the system. And we've made this purchase of these pixels. So let's just pop into this space with the other users. Okay, cool. And so now we've essentially got 4 people viewing the artwork, each of those 4 people can see that these pixels have been purchased. And being a chat message system, we can type a chat message. So that gets broadcast around like you'd expect. Obviously, because I'm logged in by the same PC, everybody's got the same name, but we can change that. So we've got the user's ability here to just have a conversation. They can talk about the artwork, whatever. That part of this is a straightforward, simple, and free thing. But as we noticed before, when you make a purchase, the purchase also goes into this. So if one of our users here makes another purchase, let's call this Spark. There we see everybody gets the message that the pixels are purchased, and if we see there, everybody can see that the update has happened. So the message there obviously stands out a bit with the border. It also contains a list of the pixels that were purchased, and if you hover over those pixels, you can see on the actual artwork those pixels are actually highlighted. So you can actually see and discover throughout all the pixels here who purchased them, in what order they were purchased in. And there's a few features missing. Obviously, it says message goes here. That will be the message that was used to put when purchasing the pixels. The user and address is something we can fill out, perhaps with the username that's being supplied on this side. And the other thing that I want to do as well is not just be able to hover over the individual pixels to reveal them, but hover over the window to reveal all the pixels. And that gives us a kind of an interesting angle to this. Now, if the artist producing this work is good, the eventual art that we're going to see is going to be a great piece of art. However, there is choice and options within the purchasing that allows users to like momentarily put their own kind of artwork into the space. So as you can see up here, a very crude lightning bolt that I purchased earlier. If anybody was viewing this piece here, like once it's been removed from the system and blended into the actual art, they'd be able to find the message or hover over that pixel and show the grouping of how it was purchased, which should still form the shape or silhouette of a lightning bolt. So there's some kind of an interesting angle there that we're quite excited to see how that plays out. To render the images here, we're actually using HTML Canvas, which gives us some nice flexibility by being able to do some nice manipulations, as we just saw. And also the way that we're showing these pieces of artwork on screen, this isn't a static PNG. What we're actually doing is dynamically building these things. So when you first connect to the artwork as you load in, we're grabbing the state of the art from the server. And then after the fact, while the user's here, we're doing incremental updates every time the art changes. We're just getting the pixel data that comes in through WebSockets and actually take that information and dynamically update the pixel that's changed or the grouping of pixel that's changed. The other thing that I'm using the canvas for here is, as you can see, the cursor is wrote straight into the canvas, as is the selection concepts and things like that. We can start doing things like animation updates and stuff like that to keep this feeling a lot more dynamic, as the art itself is quite a dynamic piece until it's completed. So that's basically it for now. It's probably quite a long video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.